Good morning, folks. This is Anne Marie. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in our broad indices. I found it to be very interesting yesterday, the extreme difference between the way the SPY performed and the way the IWM performed, but more specifically between the way the ES performed and the way the TF performed. Very, very different. Let's take a look at what's happening. We are sitting at the base of all of these moving averages. This is generally a very, very difficult space for a chart to get over, simply because there are so many things in its way. We've got a very fast moving average in the way, the 200 right there, the monthly VWAP, the weekly VWAP, the 50, and the daily VWAP, which is going to look exactly the same as the monthly VWAP today because it is the first of the month. All right, and so that's very, very important for us to consider. So what do we need to look for? Well, this morning, let's see what we've got in terms of gapping. Would you believe that I've lost sight of that? Gapping up, we've got a pretty good sized gap up here, which is a little bit normal, I would imagine. They have news that there's a bill that's going to do something that's, going to help us with the shutdown or whatever. But again, we are sitting in a very, very difficult space. The charts are moving all over the place, and having trades that are going in one specific directional trend going to be difficult to carry unless you're spot on and you're short and you haven't set a stop that's very tight so that you can hold this, or that you did set a stop very tight because now it's gapping up, probably and most likely into the monthly VWAP, and certainly trying to get closer to this gap fill event. The SPY did not fill the gap yesterday, and that does show a little bit of weakness. Overall, the drop down and the press up was mildly bullish, and so this movement today also looks a bit bullish and in continuation with that. So what's the bottom line? Looks to me like a failure of this 167.72, which was essentially the base of the gap, is going to give us lower levels. We're going to come down into the monthly pivot. Above here at 168.28, which we should be over at this juncture, we are going to come back up into this prior resistance area. I believe that if we can manage to breach the 168.44 and hold a confirming candlestick over there, we will try to struggle up here. It is not going to be an easy ride to the north. There are just too many competing interests on the downside, but as we know, this wave action event is in a natural retrace. We talked about it up here when it began to rotate. Very natural retrace. So we'll see if we are just coming up and dancing around here and continuing the natural retrace, which should bring us round and about, oh, look at that. Yes. Well then, copy paste. This is actually a very important level that for some reason my brain did not pick up until 2 seconds ago. All right, so that space right there at the 167.20 is really a retest. That's an S-curve, folks, right? An up, a move, a bring back. This is a critical mass region and it's bouncing off of it. So let's see how we hold. If we bounce, folks, we are looking at much higher levels in all likelihood. We could have ourselves another kind of harmonic that might stop us here and pull us back down, but in the end, that's a bullish harmonic also. So there's a lot of stuff that could give us some upside momentum. If we do shoot to the upside and we have an ABCD, that is a bearish pattern, but it will continue for quite some time. All right, let's take a look at at the IWM. There we go. The IWM completely filled its gap. Actually, look at how tight these moving averages are right here. Right? Very, very tight price action. This region here, extremely important for us to get over as well. Yesterday's pivot is going to be a test area. Up and over 106.93, we're in good shape. Into, 107.47 and below, where's the noise? Here, below 106.07. That's going to be pretty good noise to the downside as well. We have not tested the 200. We have not tested the monthly VWAP, but we have gotten close to that region, and this is also an S-curve test. It's a little sloppier, and we've had two S-curves since then, but this is an S-curve test coming right into S3, bouncing off the top of that level. 105.24 showing to be a very important support region, and it will continue to hold, it looks like. But if we can get up and out over these moving averages, this is a much more straightforward trade, right? We are looking at the movement up here that'll give us it could give us as much as a point quickly if we move up into this region. So that would be very, very nice. If we can get over that mainline congestion, we should do very nicely to climb up into resistance level 1 and then finally into new trigger points that we have noted in the blog. Taking a look at the Qs, we can see that the Qs here look a little bit more like the SPY because we had the pop up. This one didn't fill the gap completely. Well, looks like it actually did almost all the way. So it's in between the performance of the IWM and the SPY, but still looking like downward momentum is going to hang on here. However, we do have the gap, so let's pay attention to that. We are sitting just underneath these. We've popped up over them in the pre-market. This is a difficult space. Granted, the moving averages are not sitting there, but here's the thing. Do you see this right here? This region, right in this area, is extremely noisy. So if we get to the top, we can be pretty sure that at the 79.20-ish area, we're going to have some measure of selling. Careful about taking an extended long or a swing long unless it breaches and closes up over those levels. You might be able to take something from an introductory perspective up over 79.33 in the long run, but you want to be super careful of that. This area right here, that's where the main congestion is sitting. It has dipped below it there several times, so you could take that trade, but the second it gets up above it and holds the region, you know there's a pretty good likelihood that it's going to manage well. We've got to get up and over these moving averages for things to go well. Neutral activity in general zones from the momentum perspective, a couple of these things, the SMI is actually in neutral to positive territory, so we're going to be watching to see if that actually is telegraphing the news of more upside momentum. Trade carefully right now. It is very, very important that you trade carefully. All right. Good luck trading today.